Hi everyone, and welcome to the first in what is likely to be a series of kind of think piece videos. This one doing very much what the title says. It's on the concept of twin flames, and I want to stress that I am specifically not doing a video on do twin flames exist, because I feel it to be a pointless discussion. An awful lot of esoteric metaphysical concepts, religious concepts, or anything else do exist if you feed enough energy to them. It becomes a nonsensical discussion if you focus it in that way. But what we're looking at today is the impact that holding this belief system can have on you or on others. And within that, I'm also going to look at those who benefit from marketing this belief system, because there is a combination of the two and you can't separate them out. So why am I doing this? Why am I so interested? In short, it's because I'm a professional psychic reader, professional tarot reader, professional fortune teller, however you want to describe me. On a regular basis, I come across clients who are dealing with this concept in their lives. Maybe they've read it, maybe they've subscribed to something that sold it to them, maybe it's been given to them by another reader. But over and over again, I come across people who are distraught. Distraught because the person they're with is highly abusive to them, or distraught because the person who they've identified as their twin flame is in fact not with them, has rejected them, is somewhere else in life, maybe has blocked contact with them. Maybe this person has acted obsessively towards the person who's blocked contact. Or maybe they're on the receiving end of it. I've dealt with all of these cases. But what we are talking about in general is a belief system whereby somebody is required to be with you, and where you feel that is divinely ordained or predetermined. And so there's no element of free will in this, there's no element of consent in this. And those are immediate red flags for anybody who works with helping people through relationships. Because consent and free will are foremost. They do come first before anything else. If you stand in the way of that, you got a problem. You got a real problem. I'm going to go on to flesh this out and talk about some of the ways in which this plays out, which can be quite insidious beyond this as well. So let's talk about abusive relationships. Let's talk about somebody who mistreats the person they're with. Maybe they're verbally abusive, maybe they're physically abusive, maybe they're controlling. It doesn't actually matter what form it takes. What matters is that abusive relationships are things that we want to leave. Assuming they can't be fixed through relationship counselling or similar, we want to leave, and more importantly, we have the right to leave them. So what happens if somebody who you're with is abusive towards you, and you ask the question, why is he treating me like this? And the answer is not about him and his issues, his attitude towards you, and your right to be out of that situation, but instead you get an explanation that the connection is too strong. The connection is so strong and he struggles against it, and that's why he treats you like this. Therefore, what's the implication of that? Well, you agreed to this connection before your life even started to begin, and then you came across this person, and therefore you are now required to tolerate this abuse, because that is part of the twin flame journey. And I call bullshit. I call bullshit. You're not required to put up with any form of abuse. If you're in an abusive relationship, if there's domestic violence, if there's anything else of that nature, I'm going to work with you to get free of that, if that's what you want to do. I am not going to turn around and tell you, you are required to be with this person. That is horrible, basically. It's horrible and it traps people. It traps people in abusive situations. Can also enable abuse from the person who has picked up this message. They are your twin flame. They have agreed to be with you. Therefore, they have to put up with all your bullshit because they're a part of you. They're together with you. This is inevitable. No, it's not. You're an individual. They're an individual. How you treat other people is a choice. It's a choice. It's not some divine thing for somebody to abuse you. And I want to stress that and re-stress it and re-stress it because it should be obvious. But the problem is, as you get pulled into this stuff, it becomes less obvious. So here's the next scenario. Somebody makes a free choice not to be with you. Maybe they did it early on. Maybe they broke up with you. Maybe things became too much. Maybe they chose to be with somebody else over you. Maybe they chose to be single rather than be with you. Can you accept that? Can you accept that? Or does your desire for this then lead you to listen to the person who says, that person is your twin flame. Therefore, that person is expected and ultimately required to be with you. What do you do when you hear that? You gain an entitlement to them. What does that drive? In cases that I've seen, stalking, harassment. And this isn't like we're not living in a Hollywood fairy tale here. We're living in real life. Somebody says no, no means no. And until they've changed their mind on that, and they may never do, and that's their choice, their decision, it has to be respected. But what you can't do is go chasing after them. Nor, incidentally, should you be waiting for that person. And this is also where it gets insidious. There are many, many YouTube channels out there, especially, and other resources that will feed you the same message repeatedly, where somebody has left you, rejected you, maybe blocked you. And the twin flame professional, who makes quite a lot of money out of this, incidentally, because it is big business, and let's not deny that. The twin flame professional keeps you locked in by repeated messages. He will be returning. He's coming back. It's just a bit longer. You just need to wait a bit longer. In the meantime, what are you doing? You're waiting. You're stopping. You're not moving. You're not growing. You're not necessarily evolving in the ways that you need to. And you're not really open to relationships with other people. Because this person is your twin flame. They're the one and only person who you're supposed to be with. You don't want to miss out on that, do you? Opportunity of a lifetime. Of many lifetimes. You're on a divine mission, they might tell you. And the immediate point at which someone tells you you're on a divine mission, you're more special, what are they doing? They're creating an ego trap for you. They're creating an ego trap for you because you're now more important, or what you're doing here is more important than what other people are doing with their lives, the choices they're making, possibly the choice that the person who has been assigned the label of your twin flame is making. And again, we're immediately not only against free will, but we're all disempowered within this. Totally disempowered. You're following somebody else's script. And it's alluring. It draws you in. You're special. This is the fairy tale. This is how it comes together. This is the adversity you must face first. It's very contrived. It's very contrived, And what does it do? It locks you in place. It restricts your choices. It restricts your learning, your growth, and your acceptance of other people's decisions, quite crucially. And that's not good news. It's not good news. It's not a healthy way to be relating to somebody else. But it's real. It's real. I see it all the time. Next example. You're already with someone. Actually, it's not a bad relationship. Is it fireworks every 5 seconds? Is it the dream all day long? Or is it a complicated relationship with challenges and disagreements in areas of work and hopefully mutual growth? Maybe you're a bit annoyed in it. Maybe you're a bit frustrated. Then you meet someone else and oh, there's a really strong energetic connection. And you start Googling it. Or you contact a reader and they come back. That person's your twin flame. What does that mean for your pre-existing relationship then? And by the way, if your pre-existing relationship's shit, then leave it, but don't just leave it for someone else. But let's say your pre-existing relationship isn't shit. It's just a challenging relationship going through challenging times, as these things do. But that person's my twin flame. I've witnessed people sabotage an existing relationship or marriage based upon that. And feeding people that as an instruction or a directive is highly irresponsible, hugely irresponsible. And again, it's following a fairy tale, it's following a script. What it's not doing is dealing with what's in front of you. Maybe you've got something to learn and work through with the person you're with. Maybe you can build a deep, loving relationship there, rather than being seduced by the razzmatazz, the twin flame. It's so shiny, it's so bright, it's special, it's magical, it's divine. You must go there. No, you mustn't. No, you mustn't. So let's talk about cults. Let's talk about control. Let's talk about big business. Let's talk about marketing of ideas. Let's talk about this idea. Let's talk about who popularized it. Twin flames as a modern New Age concept was popularized by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who is the leader of a doomsday cult not long before that. And you can look her up and you can look up what that looked like, because it wasn't cool and it wasn't fun. And the idea has been picked up, in my opinion, by pretty unscrupulous individuals who now make a lot of money out of it. There are current day cults built around this that you can look up. There's one on YouTube called Twin Flame Universe or Twin Flame Ascension School. There's a recent article by Vice that kind of exposed them quite a lot. A number of their former members have done likewise, have been threatened, as is typical incidentally of trying to leave a cult or similar mind control organization or institution. And it gets nasty. It gets really, really nasty, both in terms of them taking a colossal amount of money from their students or members within this very hierarchical structure, also typical of a cult. People are required to be pretty unquestioning. And it gets worse than that. It gets worse than that. Because they're under mind control, there is actual abuse going on there. Now, I'm a trans woman. I take gender identity, sexuality very, very seriously, as a matter of self-determination and free will. What happens with Twin Flame Ascension School? This is quite chilling, actually. They move to this space where everybody involved is assigned the role of either divine feminine or divine masculine. Now, these terms, incidentally, in practice become projections of societal expectations of masculinity or men and femininity or women. And those gender roles are toxic to everyone. Twin Flame Ascension School goes one step further. If somebody is a woman and is informed, for example, you contain the divine masculine energy, then they push that person to physically and medically transition to match masculinity, i.e. to take on a male form. Now, this is very different from the right to self-determine that trans people fight for, ask for, assert. This is somebody else choosing that for you. Somebody else in a position of control and power and authority, enforcing that upon you. Within this, there's heteronormativity, there's homophobia. The divine feminine must pair with the divine masculine. Fuck off. Fuck off. Speaking as a femme for femme lesbian, fuck right off. This plays out in general, incidentally, on this topic, over and over again. One flame carries the divine masculine, one flame carries the divine feminine. It's heteronormativity. It's homophobic. They have a get out clause for that as well. Oh no, it's okay because you could have two lesbians. One would carry the divine masculine, one would carry the divine feminine. And I'm sat here like, so it's 2020. And you're sat here and asking a lesbian couple, which of you is the guy? Like, this is just reactionary. And the problem is it's fed in spiritual language. It's fed in compelling language, and it's fed in a cult environment often. Or if it's with an individual reader, twin flame expert, twin flame coach, twin flame life coach, whatever they choose to call themselves, they are in a position of power. I'm in a position of power when I read for somebody. It means that I have to be very careful what I'm giving them, the truths I'm guiding them towards. And it can be abused. And in these cases, it is abused, and it drives very unpleasant behaviors and situations. So what's the attraction? Why is it alluring? It's a form of escapism. As with a lot of New Age concepts, it forms a form of escapism, of not dealing with material reality in front of you. This person rejected me in material reality in 3D, but in 5D we're together, so the 3D has to change. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Even if you believe that, and you're starting to get very far out, a bit spurious when you claim that, in practice, no, this person has said no to you. Or this person abuses you. Oh, but in 5D, they're my divine partner. Well, maybe so. But in 3D, they're a piece of shit. Get the fuck out of there. Like, you can't use this as the justification for avoiding material reality. Things should always be supplementary to that. What drives it? We're lonely. We're isolated. The world is shit. The world is a fucking shit heap. Oppression is real. It's nasty. The machinery of the world grinds you. It grinds you up. Tries to grind the life out of you. So wouldn't it be wonderful if there was this magic happening, this magical connection that you can follow then the rest of the world isn't so upsetting. Except this connection, what you choose to bring in here, quickly becomes hell. Incidentally, I've been sold this stuff. I've gone a bit of a way into buying into it in the past. Almost caused me to sabotage a really important friendship. So I've been on the receiving end, and it's not fun. I understand the appeal. I really do. I'm long-term single. It can be very lonely. However, just because I have felt incredibly powerful, energetic connections with people does not give me the right to solely determine what those are and what that person chooses. It's quite important. Quite important. Very basic. Comes down to consent. Again, nothing else. If consent is not foremost in your mind, then you are riding roughshod over somebody else. And again, it's an ego trap. It's what the ego wants. To control the other, not to respect the other. To be special. Only problem, it's just that. It's an ego trap. It's a con. Your soul isn't evolving whilst you're following that. Doesn't mean I don't have compassion with anyone who's drawn into this. Of course I do. I have contempt for those who sell it, make a fortune off of it. But it's not your fault if you've been dragged into this. But you do need to engage your mind at some stage. Look out for the pitfalls, the red flags. Don't evade them, don't avoid them. And the final thing I'd say, do you need it? Does it enhance anything? If you are with somebody and it's a good relationship and they are your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or however you've chosen to address each other, can't you allow them to be that? Because the moment you call them, that's my twin flame, look at the extra expectation, the load that you've placed onto them, onto you. We must get this right. The fate of the universe depends upon it. It might seem overblown, but this is the direction that it's pushed in. So, if you have used these terms, try out doing without them. Try out doing without them. Seeing the other person as a free and autonomous individual. Seeing yourself as a free and autonomous individual who has relationships. Some go for a long time, some are for a short time. Some are quite profound, some are quite functional. It doesn't actually matter. But don't give them or yourself a get out clause for disrespect or abuse or mistreatment. And don't tell yourself that you are required to put up with that. This is the main point. Anything that is being used to enable abusive behaviors, that's a problem. Anything that is being used to construct cult or cult-like organizations, mind control with them. People assigning themselves the role of guru or master in relation to you because only they have the special knowledge to guide you through this. These are all really big red flags. Really big red flags, and they are all things that are used to prey on very vulnerable people. And I say this from personal experience, both having been sold some of this stuff myself in the past and from picking up the wreckage of where this has led. And I do come across it. I come across it often. That's my point, and it's not more than that. So this is detrimental. It's detrimental, and yet at the same time, Those people marketing this stuff make an enormous amount of money, claim an enormous amount of power. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. It's something to be vigilant for. Thank you all for watching, and please feel free to get in touch if you've been on the receiving end of this, or someone else you know has as well. You will never hear me use these terms in my work. If I'm reading on relationships, I read on the energy between people, where they're both at, what work can be done, can it get better, is it a shit heap? If it's a shit heap, do you want to get out of there? If so, how are we going to manage that? If it can be improved, how are we going to do that? But I never tell anybody they are obligated to be with somebody else to fulfill a certain course of action. It's simply not what I'm here for. Simply not how I work. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.